Thank you, Daniel. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this meeting of the Executive on 15th of July here in County Hall. Item 1 is apologies for absence. From the Executive, can we apologise for Simon Myers' absence? He's the National Parks meeting. And from Management Board, Chief Executive Richard Clinton and Carl Baxter. Therefore, welcome Paul Haslam and Liz Collins to the meeting, although they are joining us online. Can't see any of the members. Oh, there's the room. Okay. Item 2 is 2 sets of minutes. Are you happy that they're both correct and reconciling both sets? Seeing nods of does anybody have any declarations of interest? Can't see indicating. Can we do the formal exclusion of the public on the item of 6 and 10 on the agenda? But hopefully we won't need to go into private session. But can we just agree that?
Agree that, Chair.
And then item 5 is public participation. Do you believe there are any? Thank you. So that takes us to item 6, which is the Whitby Maritime Training Hub tenancies. And can I come to Mark, please, to introduce the item? Thank you,
Mark. Right, yes. Sorry, I was looking for where the speaker was to pick up my voice for people online. Sorry, Chair. Hopefully they can hear me. This is really a positive story. The Whitby Maritime Training Hub has started to be built, as you will be aware. I'm hoping to go over the next week or so to have a look at the progress. I understand that it's progressing well, so that's a positive story. The report in front of us is simply asking for a 5-year tenancy for companies that are interested in relocating or locating at the Whitby Maritime Hub. I'm pleased to say we have one ready to sign effectively and another one who are very, very interested and hoping that they will be signing soon. The suggestion is that it's a 5-year lease. That is clearly something that companies would want to have, the security of a 5-year lease in order for them to move or to start their business in that location. I am aware, Chairman, that we've had letters from a group in Whitby who only want us to offer 3 years and are saying that legally that is the position. We are not of the same view, and I feel legally we have the right to offer a 5-year lease to any company. I won't mention the companies. I'm trying obviously not to get into part 2 so that we don't have to go into private session, but we do feel we have the right to give a 5-year lease under the Whitby Urban Council Act of 1905. So I'm happy to move that. I was going to say happy to take any questions. If they're a very technical nature, then I've got officers around me who will answer them, but happy to take questions, happy to move it. And as I say, I think this is a good news story for Whitby, business moving in with significant number of well-paid jobs. So it's a very positive story in my opinion.
Yeah, would agree. Good news story for the coast. Anybody got any questions or comments that they want to make? No, if not, we'll move to the recommendation. I think we also want to add a little bit to the recommendation. We seem to perhaps including the portfolio holder in the consultation. So did you want to say something about that?
Yeah. I think certainly in this one and maybe in the next couple that there is no mention of the portfolio holder, and that should be the case. So I think the recommendation should include the words with consultation with the portfolio holder. In this particular case, the portfolio holder would be Treasury portfolio holder, Councillor Dadd.
Yeah. Okay, so it's been moved with that amendment. Can we have a show of hands, please, those in favour? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. Let's move on to item 7, the harbour's infrastructure. And again, Mark, I come to you.
Yeah, and again, in a way, it's a good news story because we are supporting Scarborough and its very important West Pier Harbour, from which the fishing in Scarborough takes place, as well as having a car park, etc. One of the positive things that we've inherited from Scarborough Borough Council are our harbours, and we've also inherited some fairly significant bills from them. So I'm sure you'll be aware, and the deputy leader will also be very aware of the cost of some of these things. Frankly, if we don't do this, then we face a problem with the harbour and how long it would withstand the pressure of the water. But if we do this improvement to the harbour at a cost of £1.8 million, so I recognise a very significant cost. But if we do that, we believe the sheeting under the harbour will last for another 10 years, so a significant period of time. We are working with a particular company on doing this. We carry some risk with the contract, so I want us to be absolutely clear about that. However, if we didn't have the risk carried by this council to some extent, then I suspect no company would be willing to bid, and therefore the walls would not be protected. And I certainly don't have the ability to get underwater and the strength of those sheet piles, so please don't look to me to do that. We have got a company who are very well versed in this, are experienced, and are doing the work. As I say, 1.8 million is significant, a very significant sum of money. And I want to remind the residents of Selby Scarborough, how much we support them and how much money we've spent in that area recently. Another 1.8 million here, but it's to the benefit of Scarborough, to the people who work there, and to the people who go there. It's a wonderful pier, but it really needs this work doing to it. So I'm hoping that members will support this and agree, and there will be an amendment to the recommendation, which is that it's in conjunction with the portfolio holder for finance and resources again.
Thank you, Mark. Callum, is there anything you want to add at this point?
No, nothing at all. Mark's covered it.
Okay. I'll open this up for discussion, and I see Councillor Colling wants to come in. Liz, please.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity. I agree with Councillor Crane. It's a much needed, and we really welcome the support for Scarborough Pier. But I've got a specific questions on paragraph 7.4, which is the financial implications. So I suspect these are more for Councillor Dadd. Paragraph 7.4 states that the ring-fenced harbour account will be overdrawn to pay for these necessary works, and that North Yorkshire Council will underwrite this from their reserves, and that is most welcome. Fabulous, thank you very much. But it then goes on to say in paragraph 7.5 that based on the current forecast for the ring-fenced account, the repayment is unlikely to be complete for some time. So my first question is, can I have an indication how long officers think it will be before repayment can be made from the currently overdrawn harbour account? And then secondly, in looking to the future, is the process described in paragraph 7 the one that is going to be followed for any future harbour work? I am mindful that there is a harbour strategy coming forward for approval later in the year, and that will undoubtedly identify further investments required in both Scarborough and Whitby harbours. Of course, both those accounts are now ring-fenced. So I'm seeking assurances that should these harbour accounts have, as seems certain, insufficient reserves for the work that is necessary, that North Yorkshire Council will be underwriting the amount needed, and the harbour accounts will pay that over, I presume, a significant number of years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Liz. Who would like to answer that? Is that Callum or straight to Gary?
Thank you, Chair. It's a really good question, Councillor Colin, and I think it's actually a moot point. So I think one of the outcomes of the case was it's ring-fenced, but actually it's not made a great deal of difference because the investments are so significant that those ring-fence reserves are always likely to be in deficit, certainly in Scarborough's case. In Whitby's case, there's more of a significant income, so it may well take a bit of time before that gets into deficit. But I think even Whitby Harbour is likely to get into deficit, but Scarborough is likely to remain in deficit. I would have thought the revenue income that comes in is not significant enough to erode this, and we know there's further investment needed. So I think the council is going to have Scarborough Harbour Reserve in a deficit position for the foreseeable future, and effectively the council will have to therefore make good through its other reserves to offset that. But that's how we are now required to show it, so that's how we will do it. So the money's there, but it's when we have issues coming forward around there is a ring fence reserve and money should be used for the purposes of that, we'll be able to point to the fact that it already has been used. Does that make sense, Councillor Colin?
Thank you, Mr. Fiedler. It does make sense, as long as I've got your assurance that that is how we're going to treat this matter going forward.
That's absolutely the intention, and that's consistent with the court ruling.
Okay, that's fabulous. Thank you all very much.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else want to come in? Okay, Mark, can I come back to you then to give the recommendation?
Yeah, and fully agree with what Gary said. And whilst we are running this council, that will be the case. And if it wasn't for the Whitby judgment, we would have never had to discuss this even really. So it is a bit of a moot point, particularly at Scarborough, because I suspect we will always be paying out a huge amount more than we are ever getting in on the pier. So completely agree with what Gary said. So move the recommendation with the small amendment that it's in consultation with the portfolio holder for finance and resources.
Okay, thank you. Are we all agreed on that? Can we have a show of hands, please? Okay, again, that's unanimous. Right, move on to the next one, which is Get Britain Working, the Trailblazer Grant. Annabelle, I'm coming to you first to introduce it and then come to you.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, item 8. This is the Get Britain Working Trailblazer that was announced by the government in November 2024, alongside the Great Britain Working White Paper. York and North Yorkshire is one of the 8 sites in England and Wales chosen to focus on improving the support available to people who are economically inactive due to ill health and to help them to return to work. The learning from the Trailblazers will support development of national policy and design and how locally we can join up support to work in practice across England and Wales. And York and North Yorkshire Combined Authority are the accountable body and lead on the programme. £10 million has been made available by the government to be spent within the 25-26 financial year. And given the constraints from the delivery of the £4,391,906, we have also taken a pragmatic approach to identify those projects that can be mobilised quickly and build on existing activity in some areas. And I'm going to hand over to Richard now, because this crosses all the directorates, both in children's services and in adult services. Thank you, Richard.
Richard, please.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you, Councillor Wilkinson, for setting out the overview of this. So very much part of the government's policy on Get Britain Working. The reason I've taken the lead on this is the primary focus of this bidding is around removing health barriers to people entering the labour market, but it genuinely has been a really good cross-council effort. Will and Paul, who've been instrumental, but other colleagues from other directorates too have played a key role as well. I have to say we've still got some way to go on this. So, you'll notice in the report that it talks about what we're proposing. It talks a share of just over 4 million directly invested in a consortium led by this council. We're anticipating that about 72% of the total spend would be to the benefit of North Yorkshire residents. However, this is a new process for government and for the combined authority. There's quite a lot of detail to work through around terms and conditions, the level of performance and financial reporting, and how we manage potential risk around this. So as you will see, there are delegations set out in the report, and that they will need a proper due diligence process before we activate any of this. So we hope that we can work through those. We hope this will be money that will be spent to the benefit of getting more people into work in North Yorkshire, and you'll see the proposals include building on the strengths of our skills teams, doing more around supported volunteering, work with carers, veterans, mental health and physical health checks as well, using our leisure services. But we have some way to go. So it's an enabling paper today, and then there'll be a proper process to seek final approval for the go-ahead.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Can I open it up for any discussion, any comments? No. Okay. Annabelle, can I come to you then to move the recommendations? And I'd like to add, as we have done in the spirit of the last two recommendations, that we add the portfolio holder for corporate affairs into the delegated authority under 12.3. So, Annabelle, would you just like to move the recommendation?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Please can we move the recommendations at 12, 12.1, point 2 and point 3? Thank you.
Right. Can we have a show of hands on that then, please? Those in favour? Yeah, that's unanimous. Let's move on. Mara, I'll come to you now. Funding for the local transport grant.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Continuing the theme of good news, this is another good news story for us. This is a new transport funding stream, which is for 2025 and 2026 only. The scale of funding is considerable for a one-year settlement, and careful consideration was given to determine the schemes which we would spend it on. And you'll see those are listed for North Yorkshire schemes in the papers. Firstly, all the schemes would need to achieve our transport priorities. And secondly, all schemes must be capable of rapid delivery in a restricted timescale, such that they are able to commence works by March 2026 at the latest. So it is a good news story. There's some excellent schemes in there to improve North Yorkshire. And unless Callum has anything to add to the papers.
No, not at all. That's perfectly summarised.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody got any smart?
Comment rather than a question. I will be supporting it, and obviously always pleased when the council gets some money from a source. I just feel that it's slightly out of kilter when you look at how much York have got. So York account for 25% of the population of York and North Yorkshire. They account for, you'll have to remind me what the percentage of the geography is. Is it 10%, 9% or something? Anyway, around single figures, if somebody could tell me exactly. But have managed to get 40% of the spend. I guess I should remind people that the mayor, wonderful person that he is, lives in York. Enough said.
Does anybody want to respond to that? Mark,
I'll just come back. Yeah, I mean, I agree with my colleague. It does seem slightly disproportionate that we, whilst we're very grateful for the funding that's coming our way, I think in the greater context, it is interesting that our percentage, as per York, does seem slightly out of kilter, and I think I'll leave it at that.
You leave it hanging.
Well, I think the point's been made, and I support the point made by Councillor Crane. Yeah.
And two members of the combined authority are listening to what you said. Yeah, if you want to come in.
Yeah, I don't know whether we formally have to declare an interest as a member of the combined authority, but I hear what's been said. I think that we can take that message back, but more importantly, vital actually, moving forward, the historic formula used to divvy up things like highways funding will be critical to North Yorkshire. And that's the big prize. This is one-off stuff in many ways, in predominantly capital, but highways funding through the LTP and the likes. I suppose we've got to fight like hell to preserve that formula, because of course our road network isn't just, 60% of the total network. We're into 80 or 90%, I suspect.
So before I move to the recommendations, Louise, did you want to add anything to our debate?
Well, I'll just come in very quickly on that last point. So as has been mentioned, this is a kind of a one-off pot, and it has been calculated at a national level in slightly different way than our usual transport pots. So it was calculated on 70% population, 30% deprivation across the two areas, or across the whole area. We have done a little bit of work on that, and in terms of the full pot, which is £15.3 million, North Yorkshire should have been eligible for £10.6 million and City of York 4.7. So we've got more than that 10.6 million, but obviously, as if you've read the papers, you'll see that there has been an element of over programming. So the total pot now is 19.2, and if we split that, we should have got about 13.3. So it depends which way you look at it. In terms of the original pot, we've done better. If you look at the over programmed pot, slightly less than we would have expected. But it is a very positive news. And we will be coming to you in the future over the local transport grant as it continues, because we have got allocations for future years as well, which is also a really positive situation to be in, to have that ability to forward plan with transport schemes.
Okay, thank you, Louise. Anybody else want to come in before we move to the recommendations? Mark.
I'm going to come back on a couple of issues. Is that number one, government's formula at the moment is causing me concern, because they seem to think that all the money should follow deprivation, and it would be unfair to think that North Yorkshire didn't have any. We have some significant pockets of it, and that should not be lost on people here, or indeed on the government. So whilst I accept there may be deprivation in York as well, we certainly have pockets of it in North Yorkshire. And I hope that when the government comes to its formula, it looks at places like North Yorkshire and the geography of North Yorkshire and the sheer size of North Yorkshire, and considers that when it makes its recommendations. I'm not hopeful.
Anybody else want to? Just put your glasses back.
Yeah.
So that is something that we will have to consider, Mark, going forward in the consultation to the fair funding formula, which of course now is fair. Because up to previous administration, it was a fairer funding. Gareth?
I'll just add to the general debate on this, and I've made the point directly in a public meeting, I think, to the Mayor. For the mayoral combined authority to function properly, and its initial purpose and priority was to promote economic growth and the likes, for that to function properly, it needs sustainable, strong local government underneath it. So I very much hope if the mayor or somebody from his office is listening to this, he'll take on board the points that we've made in terms of funding for North Yorkshire. But you know, when you hit overnight with a £14 million withdrawal of rural services grant, NI contributions, employers' contributions, taken in total, this is before the fairer funding review, a hit of £22 million per year, it doesn't bode well for sustainable local government. On top of that, of course, we've got the so-called fairer funding review. I suppose I'm preempting what I will say possibly tomorrow at full council, but I think we need and I know we have done, we've sent strong evidence base to government on these very points, because I often find it easier to talk in a civil manner to government rather than just throw brickbats. And that's not directed at my colleague here. So, but I hope the mayor's listening to this, or somebody from his office, as I say, and we could do with his support on this matter too.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? If not, Mark, would you like to move the recommendation 11.1?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'll move that recommendation at 11.1 as listed on the papers.
Okay, thank you. So again, can I have a show of hands, please? It's unanimous. Thank you. Can we move on then, please, to item 10? And Gareth, I'll come to you. Redeployment of Snowcross.
I'm going to be very brief, Carl, but I will take the opportunity to say this is another good news story. It's the first major capital disposal we've done since Unitary as part of our property rationalisation programme. I don't want to go into too much detail because, of course, those are in the pink papers. I don't think there's any need other than to say it has provided not just a strong capital receipt, but in terms of revenue savings, I think I am able to say it's produced, once we take into account the new costs, if you like, from the new location of the customer service centre, I think net we should be looking at 150, 200,000 pound, I would suggest, in revenue savings through us moving out of that particular building. It's also, in my view, provided a better customer service experience, as well as underpinning the new treadmill site with increased footfall. So all in all, it's a win, 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 and we should be, I think, not hesitant in approving the disposal of that particular asset.
Anybody want to make any comments?
Oh, I must add as well, if people are interested in the CO2 effects of it, of course, less property means less CO2 production, whichever way you cut it. So that's good as well, Richard.
Okay. Mark.
I just want to come in and support Gareth. I think, you know, as a unitary council, it's clearly wrong that we've got two large offices in the same town, and well, we've now got a third with the one at Treadmills, which I've been to, and is a fantastic building. So this is a good news story, whatever way you look at it, that we've sold this, got a financial recompense for the sale of the building, but also that we're spending 150 or 200,000 pounds less per year on upkeeping that building, and anybody who works there clearly can move either to the Treadmill site or to this site. So it's a good news story, and we look forward to the company of a successful bidder and what they're going to do with that building in the future.
So there's nobody else. Gareth, do you want to move the recommendation?
Formally move it.
Okay, again, can I have a show of hands, please, those in favour? And that's unanimous. So, right, moving to item 11 now. And Mark, I'm going to ask you to introduce that I've been given advice that you and I must declare an interest as directors of the company. And because it's about disposal and assets, we need to leave the room. So I don't know what you want to add.
Difficult.
I'd just like to introduce your introduction and just say what a hugely successful project this has been. Where would we be today if we hadn't had the foresight all those years ago to set up Ninet? I think the community of North Yorkshire would be badly served now because of market failure and the like. So with that, I'll ask you to say a few words.
So can I just clarify the clarification? Just regards to the interest that you have, you're both directors on the company. It's non-paid directors, you're not getting any separate allowance for being on these on that directorship. But within the recommendations, there is a recommendation to give the company funding. Therefore, it's required you to leave the room.
Okay, and obviously happy to accept that advice from the solicitor. This started in 2011, so a long time before I ever joined North Yorkshire Council. But it's a really positive thing that this was set up. It's rolled out broadband to people who would not otherwise have had it, I'm certain. And we see broadband across North Yorkshire as being one of the best when you look at rural authorities. So not only has it done that, but it's made some money as well. So it's been a real big success. And I am happy to introduce the report. And with that, I will leave the room.
Barry, can I ask you to take over the report?
Okay, thanks, Chair. This report, there's several aspects to this. So Project Gigabit is the new government scheme for rolling out superfast broadband. So this has now taken on a national leadership role. In the past, as the leader said, the council has taken a clear role in leading delivery of superfast North Yorkshire across the county, so superfast broadband, and has used Ninet as a principal agent to do that. And this has stood the county of North Yorkshire in really good stead, because Ninet have been experts in this field, know the telecoms market, have been well respected by government, have been successful in getting funding, had a very good established relationship with Broadband Delivery UK, the government agency charged with delivery of superfast broadband. And as you can see in the report, over 200,000 homes have been upgraded as a consequence of the delivery of this programme since 2011. So North Yorkshire County Council, as was, led on the creation of this hugely innovative project. I think all of the districts actually previously also used 9net, so it's been a good pan-North Yorkshire initiative from day one and has helped deliver that for the households. What it's also done is it's been very innovative, and I think is the only one in the country whereby it secured a contract with the suppliers that has led to them repaying the subsidy that they've got from the public sector should they be successful in having numbers of houses take up broadband. And what's effectively happened here is it's been proven that it didn't need a public subsidy. There was already a market there. Now we should be also taking some credit for this through the Superfast programme, because part of this was about stimulating demand. In stimulating demand, BT in the early stages were quite surprised at the thirst that there was across North Yorkshire for broadband. And it probably doesn't come as a great surprise to many of you in here, because a rural county like this, it's more difficult to get places. So having good broadband is absolutely essential for day-to-day business. So because demand has been so high, we have generated about £27 million worth of money coming back to the council in lieu of that public subsidy. So there's been £80 million worth of funding coming in, but £27 million has come back to North Yorkshire Council and is available for investment in infrastructure. And you'll see there that of that £27 million, around about £8 million has been committed to match fund in the early stages, which leaves £19 million still available to do more by way of infrastructure, whether that's something to supplement Project Gigabit, whether it's about mobile telephony, whether it's about the Internet of Things, whether it's about digital inclusion, whether it's about more physical transport. We have those options open to us in the future. So that's a good position to be in. The final piece of the jigsaw, if you like, is a suggestion that £1.65 million is taken from that overage fund in order to pay off the last element of the finances of 9net 100, which was the body charged with delivering this, because in 1 year, 9net 100 was not allocated money to carry out the procurement and contract management related to Superfast North Yorkshire. So effectively, this goes back in history and corrects that, and then allows the 9net 100 to be wound up as a company, because it's no longer needed, it no longer has its purpose, but of course it has a legacy of generating £27 million worth of overage and delivering for 200,000 homes. So I think that's probably all I'd want to do by way of explanation, hence the recommendations in front of you. Happy to take any questions. Heather?
Couple of comments really. I was at the LGA conference recently and spoke to people about this project, and they were full of praise for North Yorkshire for having a different business model. And I'm glad the comment about the market was wrong. We proved the market wrong, because I know that that is a concept we're quite familiar with in health and adult social care, because we're trying to not break the market, but give it a little bit of a kicking occasionally. And it is quite important that we are seen to be progressive and brave in some parts, and this is actually being proved in this. So no question, but just a great news.
Thank you. Jana?
Yeah, I just wanted to endorse what Carl and Mark and now Heather has said about the success of 9net, because when I first got elected in 2011, this is one of the first things I got involved with as a councillor, as sort of backbench overview of 9net, and it was hugely interesting. And we did make some quite controversial decisions, and it wasn't all smooth sailing. But also I represent one of the most sparsely populated areas and one of the most difficult to deliver in terms of getting broadband out to rural areas. So the PCs, the parish councils across that area regularly came together. So in the Wolds area, which had some hugely difficult areas and a lot of farmland who the farmers needed that broadband to do their form filling in and everything. So what we did was we had a joint rural parish councils meeting, and so 5 or 6 parish councils would come together on a regular basis. North Yorkshire would come over, and we shared that rural knowledge of where we might be able to put it, whose land it would go on. So it had all sorts of really positive things, both for the community and as a company. So yeah, hugely successful and very much appreciated. So I'd like to thank all involved at NiNet.
Yep. Michael?
And if you don't mind, whilst not wanting to spend too much time going through the report, the impact, the positive impact can't be underestimated here. I've always represented a division that's bridged both rural and urban, and you know, people who live in an urban area just take for granted very often that they have access to decent broadband. But as someone who represented both areas, the haves and the have-nots were really, really stark. And this is non-statutory. So this is a great example of, you know, we're often bogged down with things that we've got to do, that we have to do, that are going to cost money. And the public often wonder, where's the money going? And here's one that we've spent over the course of this, 13 million of our own, and it was County Council ultimately that did this, 13 million pounds, that has dramatically transformed the lives of residents and businesses who benefited from this. And as Gary, you've said, then brought back 27.5 million pounds, of which we ploughed 8 million to keep it going. The success of this really is staggering, and the fact that we were the only council in the country that was able to do it is just really staggering. So welcome this report. We mustn't forget the people that are still not connected, but this is where, as you say, Project Gigabit, that's the one that has to do that. We can't fix it for everybody, but the number of people that we have fixed it for here is tremendous. Thank you.
Anybody else? Right.
Sorry, two of the points, Gary, that's okay. So very quickly, I just wanted to point of clarity. NiNet still would exist following this. This is talking about winding up NiNet 100, which was a part of NiNet charged with delivery of Superfast North Yorkshire, and that's why it's no longer required. But NiNet will continue as a broadband aggregator and provider of the public sector network. So that's still in place. That's not impacted at all. And the second one was just to pick up Michael's point around Project Gigabit. The funds that are available on the average can be considered for supplementing Project Gigabit should that deemed to be appropriate and necessary. And NiNet will also continue to have a dialogue, as will the council, with Broadband Delivery UK to try and influence positively how Project Gigabit is delivered, recognising that they may well not be cited on some of the particularly rural challenges that are faced in North Yorkshire.
Anybody else? Therefore, I think I'll just move the recommendations I printed with the qualification of in consultation with the appropriate exec member, which I think will be made if necessary. All those in favour? Unanimous. Right, next. Drag him in.
It wasn't your responsibility, is that?
Yeah, but there's nothing for you. It's an administrative.
Well, I'll talk to you.
So.
Was Barry just controlling them outside?
Property one as well. Use of the contingent.
Okay, thank you for that. Can we now move on to item 12,
And Heather, I'll come to you for the area committee feedback report, please.
Thank you, Leader. Recently had our catch up on Teams, and there was quite a lot of similar issues that were brought up, and a couple of specific things which I believe have been addressed to the relevant executive members. We work quite well as a committee. We're all very respectful of each other, and we do make sure that everybody gets a voice. And it is good when our leader and deputy leader are able to join us, because it gives them a flavour of what is actually going on with the majority of our councillors, because we are all on the area committee for one reason or another. I'm asked for a physical meeting to take place in September, as I think we need to explore the function of the area committees to ensure that they don't feel at all excluded from decision making. We need to maybe base some of our policies on the work of area committees. And we're also going to invite scrutiny board chairs to that meeting as well, because I think there is quite a lot of crossover between the two. So hopefully we will come out with a positive outcome, and you will note the improvement in communication, which I think has come across from all of our area committees, that sometimes communication isn't a good thing, and I'm hoping to strengthen that.
Okay, thank you. Anybody want to make any observations on the reports that we have in front of us from the recent round of area committees? I think we should mention the fact that there is an 8.3 questions received about home to school transport policy. Both Annabelle and I have received a message from the area committee looking at that. We'll be dealing with that in due course. Anything else? If not, we're being asked to note the report and consider. So I'm sure we have all read the report and considered the issues, and we are all part of the area committee network as well. So if you would like to move the recommendation, Heather.
Just like to move the recommendation at 13.1.
Okay. Can we just agree on that? I don't think we need to show up. We'll just take nods. Okay. Right, item 13, appointments to committees and outside bodies. Heather, I don't know if it's you to move this or me, but it's just to note.
To note, I believe, because I believe full council you move the.
Yeah, so yeah. I'll do it today. So unless anybody's got any observations on this, I'll just move the recommendations on lots to committees to 8.5. Again, can we just agree that? What we'll do. Okay. Item 14, this is you, Heather. Anything that we should note in the forward plan?
No, I think the August meeting has one of the main things is Harrogate again. But we go, I don't know quite how 3 months has gone since the last performance monitoring report, but it's coming back again. So I look forward to that.
Okay. Thank you. So we just note item 14, please. Item 15 is any other business, the matter of urgency. Well, there's nothing that I've been notified about. Item 16 is the date of the next meeting, 19th of August, which is the performance monitoring meeting. And then we have a late item, item 17. And I come to you for the Adult Skills Fund grant. 17, please.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you. Yes, item 17 in your supplementary papers, ladies and gentlemen. The adult learning aspect of the Adult Learning Skills Service has previously received a direct grant from the Department of Education, or ESSA, Education and Skills Funding Agency, to carry out the adult learning functions. This grant of 2.7 million will now come via the combined authority under their new powers and in line with the financial delegation powers within the financial regulations. And the decision to accept that funding must be taken by the executive. So today's report's purpose is to seek to accept the acceptance of the Adult Skills Fund from the combined authority to enable the Adult Learning Skills Service to meet the needs of North Yorkshire's residents. And you may be aware that Ofsted recently rated our Adult Learning and Skills Service as good overall, with outstanding judgment ratings for apprenticeships, delivery and behaviour and attitudes of our students. Our commitments to adult learning services drives us to deliver effective educational programmes to a diverse range of adults, with particular emphasis on those from the disadvantaged, marginalised communities. And we aim to offer inclusive services with high quality education provision and support that caters the varying needs while aligning with the local economy's requirements. This is consistent with the council plan, and we aspire to enhance opportunities for all North Yorkshire residents to lead healthy and fulfilling lives. We have operated this fund for many years, and the recent approved accountability statement details how this funding will be spent in line with the council plan. And we have both Sir Stuart and Paul Cliff here, the Head of Adult Learning Service, if you have any detailed questions about the provision. Thank you.
Thank you, Annabelle. And I should have said when we introduced this, that this is taken under our special urgency provisions, but it will not be reported to council tomorrow because it's too late for tomorrow's meeting. So, Stuart, is there anything else you want to add to what?
No, nothing further, Chair. This is a grant we receive every year for adult learning skills, so there's nothing unusual in it other than it still meets the requirement through the Constitution to bring it as for approval.
Okay, anybody got any questions? Okay, Annabelle, would you like to move the recommendation in 14(1)?
Yes, I move at point 14 that the executive agrees to accept the Adult Skills Fund grant. Thank you.
We will have a show of hands. That's unanimous. Okay, thank you. That brings us to the end of this morning's meeting. Thank you for your attendance and your contributions.